Hi, I'm Catherine, and this is Tuning In. Each week, we're going to dive into soulful conversations about intuition, spirituality, holistic wellness, and even some energetics. Whether you're looking to lead consciously or create a thriving soul-aligned business, this is your space to tune into your being, raise your level of consciousness, and align with your purpose. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get started. Hello, welcome back to Tuning In. It's been a minute since I have brought a guest on Tuning In. I have been doing the Soul Session series, which has been so much fun, but I have a guest on today that as I was sitting this morning thinking about it, I was like, I can't believe it's taken us this long to get you on the podcast. I'm so excited to have Carolyn Williamson here. She is a friend and fellow entrepreneur, fellow mama, and I'm so excited. We're going to have so much fun talking about human design, brand design, entrepreneurship, motherhood, like you name it. We could probably chat for days and days and days. And I'm excited because I really feel like there is so much resonance between what like gifts Carolyn has, what she has to share, and the audience that tunes in here. So I know you guys are going to love this episode. I know you're going to love the things we're talking about. So don't forget to like, share, follow, comment, all of the things, and reach out to if you resonate with this. And I'll put all of her stuff in the show notes as well. So hi, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. It's funny because we're chatting back and forth in our like little voice messages all the time. So yeah, it's nice to finally like hit record on our conversations, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Yay! So I'll give everybody a little background of who you are, what you do. Well, Carolyn is the founder of With the Season Studio, which is a brand identity and website design studio for heart-led women building personal brands that are an extension of the soul. It's right up my alley here. She is a former pediatric nurse of over 10 years, a 3-time entrepreneur, and a certified human design reader. She brings a depth to her work that goes far beyond aesthetics, though. Through her creative process, she weaves together brand design, identity work through human design, nervous system support, business efficiency, and sacred rhythm into one transformational process. And she believes that the most powerful brands aren't built from strategy alone, but from a deep self-recognition that creates energetically resonant brands. Wow. I just love this because it's so aligned with what I do and what I preach beyond the strategy. So I love that you're doing this. And yeah, it's magical work for sure.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm so grateful to be here. And it's been so nice, like for the two of us to kind of work alongside each other over the last few years. I kind of feel like what we're doing really like complements each other, and we both kind of like send clients each other's way, and it's just been such a beautiful just relationship that we've built. And yeah.
And I love that we've kind of evolved over time too. So Carolyn and I first met, she was hosting, you were hosting, I'm talking about you as like second person. You're here. You were hosting a online like bundle, basically, where you gather people's freebies that they want to connect with others in this way. And we all send it out and all that kind of stuff. And I found you in a Facebook group of all things, which is hilarious because I'm never in Facebook groups. And I came across it, and obviously there was some kind of spark or connection there. I was like, this is legit. This is the real deal. I'm going to apply. Let's see what happens. And you had mentioned that like, you were basically full, like you had a lot of people apply, and then you were just kind of like, well, what's one more? Okay, I'll take you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
honestly, when I think back to that, it feels, and I know we've talked about this before, it feels like very synchronistic to me the way that we met. But you're right. Yes, this was like back 3 years ago. I was running this online bundle that was kind of geared towards conscious mothers, because that's kind of the work that I came from. And now I've transitioned into design work. But yeah, I was closed. I had I had 30 people apply. I was like ready putting it together. I'm also never on Facebook. And I remember I got a message from you being like, hey, I should almost look back. Hey, like, I think you're closed, but like, I want to apply to this. And I think I went to your website and it was like mind, body, spirit, mama, right? And I was like this girl we're meant to connect. She's meant to be a part of this. It was like an immediate like body yes. And I was like, absolutely, come be a part of it. Like, you need to share. And then it's funny how we just so quickly, like, I think we have a lot of shared values. Like, the way that we run our businesses is very similar, right? It's built on a similar foundation of a lot of conscious awareness. And so we just connected so easily. And yeah, one thing led to the next. We ended up hosting a retreat together back in 2024, Illumina, which was incredible. And all this time we've like maintained this friendship. Like, you are, one of the people that I go to whenever there's something coming up in my business. And it's just, I know that you get it, like, I feel like we're at a very similar point in life where we're managing little, not so little kids at home
Mm-hmm.
and trying to build these conscious businesses. And so it's been amazing.
Yeah. It feels so synchronistic. And yeah, and I also just love how, when we met, I was just sort of transitioning into sort of more spiritual coaching and like, mindset stuff and like intuitive development, things like that. And like still a little bit in the nutrition world, and you were working with conscious moms and I think a little bit like mompreneurs and stuff like
Yeah.
that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. And we've both really shifted what we're doing since then, and it hasn't been that long, but it's like we've still, like, our work still complements each other. And you're right, I will send people your way and you'll send people my way, and it's just been this back and forth. And I'll text you and I'll be like, Carolyn, what the frick is going on? I'm drowning. And you're like, oh my gosh, and like
Me
celebrating
too.
wins. And then, yeah, it's just been
Yeah.
like, it's been so great. And yeah, we don't live super close, but we have like made the effort every once in a while to like meet halfway and
Yes.
that kind of stuff. And yeah, no, it's so great. So like anyone who's listening, if you're feeling lonely in entrepreneurship or in motherhood, like, you have to find your people that just get you too, right? Where it's like, we don't message every day, but when you do, it's like, yeah, I feel you, I get you, I got you, and it's such a great feeling to have on all levels for sure. So yeah,
Absolutely.
appreciate
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Entrepreneurship can be so lonely. It's like you've got to find your people and connect with them. Like, that has made such a difference in my
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I would love to get into a little bit of how we've talked about like transitions and my listeners know all the stuff that I've gone through.
Yeah.
But it's such a common thing to pivot, to change, to shift. And it's not an easy thing to do when you have to like let go of something or move in a different direction. And, I mentioned in your brief little bio, like 3-time entrepreneur, it's like,
Yeah.
these are,
Yeah.
we're redoing this and we're starting from scratch or we're rebuilding. And I love this. I want to talk about this because I think this is something that we don't talk about a lot. We always show like the good stuff, like the highlight reel of where we're at now, what all of my accolades. But it's like, actually, there was a period where I didn't know what the frick I was doing. And, I was throwing stuff at the wall and I was in the trenches. So how did you go from, like, what is that journey that you went on where you went
Yeah.
from conscious motherhood to brand and website designing. It's funny though, because it doesn't seem like that big of a difference, but it kind of is. Like what your service and what you're offering is quite different. So yeah, I'll let you share.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because if I even start where I am now, like, so I'm in branding and website design, right? Which if I just tell people that, it feels very like strategic, masculine, like technical, like a nerdy guy sitting at his computer, and of course there's that piece to it. But I think that the way that I work with clients through my branding and website design, there is like a through line from the beginning of like where I was. And the way that I work, there's so much more depth to it than that, right? You really talked about how, in my intro, like how I start with a person's identity. So I work a lot with personal brands, but they're in the motherhood space. They're in the wellness space. These are places I came from, right? A lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, holistic entrepreneurs. That's kind of the people I serve. But for me, there's so much depth to my process, again, of weaving in human design and this nervous system work, this identity work. Like I go deep with my clients, which I don't think is typical for a branding and website designer. But for me, it's really about creating energetic resonance. Like I want my clients, when their potential clients show up in the world, in their space, I want them to feel my clients, right? Like I want there to be this energetic resonance of like, ooh, I'm meant to work with Kat. I'm meant to work with Carolyn because I feel so drawn to them. And so for me, it's really about taking the identity and the depth and the story of the person and the work that they're here to do, and to translate that into a visual identity. And the reason I'm telling you that is because then it makes sense as to kind of where I came from. So if I get a bit more into my story and like the crazy ups and downs of this process, because I'm not going to lie, entrepreneurship is a wild ride, and it has been, alongside motherhood, the biggest personal growth journey like ever. But yeah, I started in the motherhood kind of mental wellness space. So after having my firstborn, who is now 7, I experienced a lot of postpartum anxiety. And so it was during this time that I did a lot of like internal work, like deep soul searching, like, why am I experiencing this? Like, what's the control that's going on here? And I went through this like spiritual awakening, healing journey. And I started sharing about it online because I just didn't want to feel alone in this. So I started sharing and being like, this is what I'm going through. And it naturally led into me kind of coaching in the motherhood mental wellness space, because the things that were supporting me were, again, going inwards, doing a lot of mindfulness, meditation work, this deeper spiritual work. And so I started sharing about it. And then that naturally led into me coaching. Okay. And so I was coaching, I was starting to make some money, but it was like the realistic part of this is like, I was still finding my footing, right? Like it was back in 2018, and it was like, okay, how do I figure out Instagram? Like, oh my gosh, all these people are doing so well. I'm like getting a few clients here and there. And it was a lot of ups and downs to my income and when clients were coming in. And that's when a lot of that deep work came up of like, oh my gosh, like I have to sit with myself, and like, there was shame coming up of like, am I not good enough to do this? Like, why aren't things happening for me consistently? Anyways, one thing led to another. I guess that's in and around the time that I met you, Kat. And then one thing led to another. And I got asked by a friend and another amazing entrepreneur to start a virtual spiritual community for mothers. And so it felt kind of like the natural next step of like, yes, like I'm ready to do this with someone. Like I want to be in partnership with someone. Like let's see how this can grow. And but it was again kind of starting back at square one, right? And that's the thing with entrepreneurship. It's not always like 5 steps forward, even when you're putting in the time and energy. There's a lot of like backward steps too. And oh, I've got this figured out. And then like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we started this virtual motherhood community together, and I was putting in so much time and energy and loving the work that I was doing, the people that I was meeting. But it got to the point where I was putting more in than I was kind of getting back from it. And so when I started noticing this is like, there were signs that were coming up in my body. I was starting to feel resistance towards showing up. And I think the biggest thing I noticed, honestly, Kat, was I wasn't doing the things for myself outside of work that I wanted to do, because there was this financial scarcity that was kind of speaking in my mind. Does this make sense so far?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And almost guilt maybe of like, okay, if I were to go do that, I should actually be spending all of my time and effort on this business that isn't really where I want it to be quite yet. So like, I can't indulge or quote unquote reward myself. Yeah.
Yes. And yes. And for the moms who are listening, because I'm sure there's a lot of moms here too, I was still, pouring into my kids and signing my kids up for the things, but I felt like I needed, in order to do that, because the financial wasn't coming in from my end, I felt like I needed to like restrict myself. And so I noticed I wouldn't sign up for a yoga class, or I felt uncomfortable even just going with my friends for dinner, right? And that's when I started to notice, okay, there's something I feel out of alignment here. And so I had to have a hard conversation with this girl that I had started the business with. And again, this is a community that I wholeheartedly believe in. I still believe in it, and it's the work that I love doing. But I was like, something is not right here. So I took a step back from that. And I think that's when I had time to, again, go inwards and what do I need here? I need some financial stability. And so funny enough, and I honestly think I messaged you about this. So I walked away from that position. Not a week later, a job opportunity came up on my Instagram. And I don't often see job opportunities on my Instagram, but it was from an entrepreneur that I knew, I had connected with. Was doing amazing things in the holistic wellness space. So it was very like aligned. And I was like, I'm going to apply for this. And so I applied for this part-time position to support the back end of her business. And I got it. And it's funny how stepping away from what I was doing, there were so many voices, honestly, that came up in my head of like, why isn't this working? I must be doing something wrong. I was going on like, comparing myself to, the people who are making 10K months, 20K months, 30K months. Oh my God, what are my friends and my family going to think when I tell them that, I'm abandoning, what I put my heart and soul into, and I'm picking up this part-time job? Like, what are they going to think of me? Like all these voices. And so, but I did it because I knew deep down this was the right thing. And like I had connected enough with my intuition and my body to know like, this is the right move for me right now. And so I picked up this part-time job. And the funny thing is, as soon as the financial security started coming in, it's like my creativity came back. All of a sudden, it was like I had taken all of this weight and this pressure off myself to perform and to make things happen and to do things, keep working on things. And this creativity came back, and there was this knowing of like, I need to go into the design world, because all along in my motherhood coaching, the businesses I had started, I was so drawn to the design side of the business. And people were reaching out to me all the time being like, Carolyn, who does your design work? Can I hire them? Like, and even when I was working in collaboration with this other entrepreneur, the work that I took on within the business that we were creating, I was like, send me all of the design work. Like, I want to build the landing page. Like, I want to create the courses. I want to make everything look, not just beautiful, but I want people to like feel something through my visual work. And so, yeah, I'm getting into a long tangent here, but that's kind of how I started, again, being creative. And I was working this part-time job, and I started getting creative and doing training and stuff in the design world. And then I started posting in the design world. And then my business has kind of just taken off to the point where now I've had to, again, let go of the part-time job. But I'll be honest in saying, like, when I was at that point of like, okay, I'm now feeling overwhelmed because there's too much, like, I need to let go of my part-time job. Those voices come back of like, is it going to work? Am I going to be where am I making the right decision? So yeah.
There's so much in this. Thank you, Carolyn. I love all of this. And there's just so much juiciness and gold in this for everyone who's listening, because scarcity is such a loud energy. It's so loud. It's so heavy. It can completely take over everything. And especially, as you said, it takes over your intuition. It takes over your creativity. So as soon as you can provide yourself with some sort of stability or comfort, and there's so many ways of doing that, whether it's literal physical structure, comfort, financial security that you built by getting a part-time job, to just let your nervous system take a break, calm down for a second, and realize we're okay here. It's safe for me to be creative. It's safe for me to do the things that I love for myself. And you can do it in that way. You can also create it through your mind. You can do the energy work. You can, tends to be a little bit trickier depending on how how deeply rooted the scarcity line is, right? And the patterns and cycles and all of that kind of stuff. But it's so, like, I just want to give you so much props, because making these decisions, this can take years and years and years and years for people to say, okay, I'm letting go of this. I'm going to do this. But what I keep seeing in entrepreneurship is all about making decisions and quick decisions. The quicker that you make the decision, the quicker you can respond to the outcome. So it's kind of like, and I'm not saying you have to move through everything so fast, but if you can follow your intuition, if you can follow that hit, however you tap into your intuition, and we can kind of talk about this with human design a little bit, because you are a projector, and that's a whole other thing, right? Where it's just so fascinating of how you get into, well, people were coming to me and like asking me, and I was just doing my thing. Like, of course, of course you were, because that's what you're supposed to do. So not even just being in alignment with your own needs and your own energy, but in alignment with your design and how you're meant to function in the world. But yeah, there's so much. If you can make a decision and let go of the fear of making the wrong decision, or, not doing it correctly or whatever, and just be like, okay, I'm going to make this decision, and I'm prepared and ready to continue to be flexible and move with whatever outcome comes forward, and just flow with life. And that is such a feminine energy, really, is like, okay, we're going to try this, and then we're going to do this. And then, oh, that didn't really work. Okay, let's pivot over here. But so many entrepreneurs get stuck in that, I did it this way. I've planned this whole thing, and now I don't want to let go of it, when really it's holding them back from what they're really meant to be doing, or they're so attached to something because they created it once and it's this baby. And it's all about the transitions. That's what entrepreneurship is. And
honestly, I feel like you hit the nail on the head too when you said flexibility. Like that's that is one of the biggest things that I have learned in all of this, because I will say, even, through the ups and downs, like there's always something that I'm learning, or like a reason that I'm going through this, right? I truly believe that. But what I have learned is that if I can be in flow and be fluid and adaptable, I can figure it out. And it's just, for me, like, it's been by following my intuition. And again, we can talk about this using through the lens of human design, but like by following my intuition, I have just learned to trust myself and to trust that it's going to work out. It might not be in the way that I expect it to work out, but even if you look back on my journey of like, okay, I can say, for example, that motherhood community didn't work out, right? Actually, I connected with so many moms in that motherhood community that I'm doing design work for today. I met so many entrepreneurs in that I'm collaborating with today. It strengthened my design skills because I spent so much time on the design side of the business. And then even picking up the part-time job, which on the surface may have seemed like, oh, this is not ideal for like my purpose and my mission. Again, that helped to strengthen my design skills because I was doing a lot of design work for her. And it's just, when I look back, even those really tough, challenging moments, I can be like, that was so divinely guided. I just could not see it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing that I think we get so hung up on, is that we think it has to look or be a certain way. And it's like, actually, if we can just surrender a little bit, if we can just trust a little bit and, follow our intuition and follow the alignment piece of what is feeling good for me in this moment, that's when possibilities open up that we couldn't have created on our own, right? And when you look back, you're like, wow, that was a lot more linear than I thought it was. It actually felt like I was all over the place and nothing made sense and I was drowning. But actually, every single piece that I went through had a purpose. And that's not always the case, but in most cases, there's little nuggets in everything that we go through that helps us to build into where we're meant to be going to. So yes. Yeah, I love all of that. So good and so deep. And thank you for like being vulnerable and sharing like, this didn't work. Yeah. I had to go back to get a part-time job, and there is no shame in any of that. It's like, no, this is just, we're moving, we are flowing with life, and this is what's happening. And this is how it is sometimes. And if you were to scan your Instagram, coaches online or entrepreneurs online, like how many of them, this is not their main gig, or, they've got side hustles in the background that are actually supporting this gig, or that they, at one point in time, they had multiple things going on to support what they're working towards. So I think
it's more common than we realize. And what I've learned from getting into spaces and masterminds and events with women who are doing similar work, like social media is a way, it's a platform to market yourself, right? So it can very much be this highlight reel. And so that's why I like, actually meeting up with friends and entrepreneurs who are doing this work, because it's like, I want the realness of like what's happening in your business. It makes you feel less alone in it. Not everyone is like, there are a lot of people who are finding financial success, but that's not the only piece to it, right? And so, and there's a lot of hardships and challenges along the way, but that's also what makes the journey quite beautiful, right? Like for me, it's not always been this financial success, but I have grown and developed so much as a human being and a person. And like that needs to take up more space of like, oh, like this is a big piece of it too. I feel like I didn't say that properly, but hopefully.
No, but I get it, right? It's like, what are your values in creating your business? And it's not always the financial aspect of it. It's also Am I creating this business in a way that I still have lots of time for myself? I still have lots of time for my family. Does it support fulfillment, joy, expansion, all of the other
All the
values
things.
that come into play? And obviously the financial stability is great as well. But I find that when you are honoring your other values too, and you're in alignment in that way, that, honoring your creativity and your self-care and all of that, that's when the financial
Agreed. Agreed.
expansion ends up happening anyways,
Yes.
right? It all
Yes.
comes hand in hand. I love this. So let's talk a little bit about human design. I want to get into this. We won't go like super deep. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll have you come back and we'll do like a deep dive into human design. I've never had anybody on the podcast who is a human design reader, or I don't think I have. We haven't gone into a lot of human design, but human design is something that I myself have studied. I'm not like certified in anything for several years, very much so. And I do bring it into my own business and that kind of thing. And it's so fascinating to how it works for, us as human beings, but also in how we show up for work, how we show up in our businesses, how we connect and communicate and function in the world and in business. And I think it's so great that you use it in your branding. So yeah, let's just get into that. Tell me about how you use your human design for yourself. And
Yeah.
maybe we can touch on like very briefly the different types and what they can kind of expect, what alignment would look like maybe in their business. And then we'll get into how you actually use it in your branding.
Yeah. So whenever I talk about human design, I always say, like, I feel like human design found me. And so back when I was dealing with this postpartum anxiety on this kind of spiritual journey, human design came into my world. I don't know. I started reading about it, seeing it, and it just deeply resonated for me. So I am a 4/6 splenic projector. That sounds like gibberish to you, no worries. But my energy type, which is kind of like the first layer of the onion in human design because it's so deep, is being a projector. And when I learned about being a projector, again, it was just like this immediate, like deep resonance of like, oh, I feel so seen. And it was instant permission to be who I am deep down. And so that's what if you're new to human design, it's just another tool to learn about yourself. But for me, it's really who you are on this deeper, more soulful level, like who you are before the world told you who you should be. And so when I learned about it, again, it was this resonance. And so it was like, how can I start integrating this into my own life? I started looking up, my family's chart, my kids' charts. And it was just like everything started to make sense, especially from a motherhood perspective, because when I had Harvey, I think a lot of my postpartum anxiety stemmed from I expected him to be like me. And then when he was, which sounds so silly, but when he was a very different energy than me, it felt like, I don't know what to do with this. And so like learning about him and his design and how he was just designed differently and he has a different energy, it just made so much sense. And again, being a projectors, if you're new to human design, we are considered like non-energy beings. We have less consistent energy and, so we tend to work really efficiently kind of in these shorter bursts. And then we need a lot of rest and time to go inwards and learn about ourselves. And it was like this permission to do less.
Mm-hmm.
And
as an entrepreneur, that's huge, right? Because we think we have to hustle, do all the time, that you need to be efficient, constantly work around the clock. If you're not working, you're not being productive. So yeah. For somebody to be like, actually, you're meant to take breaks. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
What? And
I what?
so, and so let me say this process of deconditioning from hustle culture was not easy. And it's still not easy for me. Like I know deep down my body is wanting to do less. But the reality is my mind is sometimes like, no, but you need to in order to be enough, to be successful, right? Like these are the stories that shape how we show up. And so over the last, I've been a human design reader now for about 4 years. And for me, it's just like been this process of learning to decondition from who I was told I should be and to start showing up as who I truly am deep down. And yes, I weave it into the way that I work in my business. So I try to work short days. Mornings for me is when I tend to have a lot of energy. So I capitalize on that. Projectors are known as kind of seers. We often see other people really well, and we have a harder time seeing ourselves. And I've realized that that is kind of my gift when I work with clients, is like really being able to see who somebody is. And then now I translate that into the visual world. Learning about my gates in human design. Your gates are kind of like your biggest gifts that you're here to share. So it's helped me to name what I'm here to do and my gifts. Like getting, and there's so much depth to human design. Like I could talk about
There's
this
so much.
for hours, but like my profile in human design, I'm a 4 line. And again, if this is gibberish, it just means like a lot of the people I'm here to help or work with come to me through connections. And so I prioritize events and getting in spaces with women to really kind of create this community. And yeah, and so this is what I like. A lot of the clients that I work with who come to me for human design readings, it's like, how can we help you find more alignment in your business? Because just like you were saying, Kat, I feel like when we are in energetic alignment and our business actually feels good, that's when the abundance pours in. Because all of a sudden it's like you're in alignment. This higher power is like, I know who you are and I know what you need. Like, let me send it to you.
Yeah.
That's what is kind of coming through for me. And that's been my experience. Like when I needed financial security and I trusted my intuition, that's when the abundance came related to my entrepreneurship journey. And so, yeah, it's been that. And another really cool area to tap in if you're new to human design is your authority. And your authority in human design is like how you're designed to make decisions using your intuition. It's very much body based rather than making decisions from your mind. So I am a splenic projector is what it's called. And people who have a splenic authority, they very much can tap into their intuition in the present moment. It's like this inner knowing that speaks to them in the moment. And then by the time you start to think about it, you've gone into your head and then that intuition is gone. So it's learning to trust what my body is saying kind of in the moment. And it's funny because these decisions that I've been forced to make that where I'm following my intuition, it doesn't always make often it doesn't make logical sense.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, invest in working with this coach. And it's like, oh, but maybe I can't afford that, and it's led me in the craziest, wildest directions. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. It's so great. And I think that you said something about the gifts and just naming them. And I think that's something that a lot of people, I don't want to use the word struggle, but kind of like is a challenge when I work with entrepreneurs, one of the first things we do is, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? And they're like, I don't know, you tell me. And it's like, well, there's a lot of different ways that we can connect with that and uncover why you're here, what you're meant to be doing. And we are, as a society, so disconnected from ourselves that I think human design is such a beautiful tool to help us reconnect and say, well, actually, well, this is what it says. Does that resonate for you? And, 9 times out of 10, it's usually, oh my gosh, that's it. That's the thing that I've been feeling since I was a little kid, but I could never explain it.
Yes.
I see things, like you said, my gift is that I see people, I read people really well, or I just have this ability to fix problems or to take action or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's those little things that we think are so minute or not important that really, if you were to capitalize on those gifts, not only does that make you more successful, whatever success looks like for you, like financially, fulfillment, all of those things, but you're doing the work that you're meant to be doing here. So you're serving in your community and you're doing the work and providing. And so it's this beautiful cycle of energy of like, you are giving what you're meant to be, sharing your gifts. People are receiving those gifts, and then they can go off and, it's this ripple effect. And so I just love human design for that reason. When people are so disconnected or like confused or what am I meant to be doing, and it's like, well, you say one little thing like, okay, well, you have this gift where you can really connect with people, and people are like, oh my
gosh, yes.
It
becomes your biggest differentiator, right? When you can actually name those gifts, it becomes, because how often do we water what we're doing down, right? It's like, I don't want to, or I do anyways, like I'm guilty of doing that. And that's something I'm working on too, is like really naming those things for myself. Like, this is how I work with people. This is what sets me apart. This is what makes me different. I think that is so powerful. And that's kind of how I tie it in with my branding. Is in human design, there is an element called your conscious sun gate. And it is kind of like the biggest gift that you are here to share in this lifetime. And so what I do in my branding process is we start with a branding vision session where I hear about you, your story, your mission, like why you feel called to do this work. And we dive into your human design conscious sun gate, which again is like that gift. It's that thing that makes you different. It's a differentiator. So you can express that to the world so that when people land in your world, it's like, oh, I'm meant to work with Carolyn or Kat because they do this differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And then so, it's not that feeling of like forcing something or trying to prove something. It's literally your USP, your unique selling proposition. Yes. Like, I just love it. I'm like, okay, let's tie in the spirituality with the strategy. Like, let's make this easy. Let's stop making it harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. And so would it be helpful for me to give like a bit more of a concrete example around that? To just kind of talk a bit more about the conscious sun gate and how I weave that into branding. So, because I find that's like a bit fluffy and intangible as I explain it. So for example, I did a branding vision session recently with a woman who does grief support and is kind of in the healing space. And her conscious sun gate is gate 23, which is called the gate of assimilation, which again, I know this is like, you're going to be like, what is that? The gate of assimilation, her gift is taking these big complex concepts like grief and making them very simple, very clear, very digestible. Okay. And so that is her gift. That is her differentiator, taking grief, a complex concept, and making it very simple, clear, digestible. How do we translate that into a visual identity? So what I do is thinking about her aesthetic. Like, I want her gift to be very clear to the people who land in her world. So the aesthetic of her brand is very clean. It's very minimalist. There's not a lot of clutter. That speaks to her gift of providing clarity, right? People feel like when they're on her website, it's like there's breathing room. Okay. Also, this gate 23, gate of assimilation, it comes off of the throat center in human design. And so if you're familiar with like the chakra system, right, the throat center is all about communication. And often the throat chakra is associated with the color blue. So we pulled some blues into her branding because the way she provides that gift of clarity through her clients is through speaking. Like that resonated for her. Like she speaks to people. It's not through writing. It's not through art, like visual art. It's through speaking. So we pulled in some blue elements. Also, we wanted to, again, speak to this simplicity or this clarity she provides. So we also balance that blue with some creams and some whites. And then when she was telling me about her story and the way that she does this grief work, it's not like this serious grief work. She adds a lot of playfulness, and it's almost this duality of like grief can be really heavy, but she adds this lightness, this playfulness, this humor to it with her clients. So we brought in some orange to kind of tap into that playful side, and also like the imagery, the symbolism, the images we were choosing for her, again, speak to that clarity she provides. It's a lot of imagery of light breaking through clouds, almost, that like sea sparkle on the top of water. Again, it's so that when her clients come to her, they feel the work that she does. It's this emotional resonance. It's almost like when you go, when you go shopping at the mall and you go into a store and you walk in and you're like, oh, I'm meant to buy something in this store. Like I just it feels like it's speaking to me. It's that deeper energy work that's happening.
Why does Ritzia do that to me?
Oh, always.
I'm like, I am meant to buy something. I am meant to buy something. What they're doing.
They're tapping into this. And so that's, again, it's like the details, the colors, all the aesthetic. It's not random. There's intentionality behind it. And that's how we bring the soul into this visual world and to make it a bit more strategic.
I love it. You're pulling etheric, energetic into the physical. And if we were to take this emotion or this feeling or this concept and we brought it into reality, what would that look like visually for us so that people can still feel into the concept, the energy behind it? It's amazing. I love that. And it's so weird. You were talking about, as soon as you said gate 23 and you were talking about bringing things into, from a big idea into smaller, more digestible pieces, immediately blues, creams, clouds came into my mind. That's so funny. And then you're like, and so we brought in some blue. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you were tapping in.
Yeah, wild. So, yeah. So is this something that people can, like, if you go onto your chart, how do people find their conscious sun gate? How is that, besides coming to you? Go to Carolyn and get it all figured out and sorted and understood. But if you were just like, okay, what is this gift of mine?
Yeah. And there's so many tools out there now where we can very easily learn about human design on our own too, right? So absolutely. So if you look up your chart, you'll get this crazy picture of a body graph, and there's a lot of stuff happening. But in your chart, on the right-hand side of your chart, you're going to see symbols for a bunch of different planets. And the sun is the top planet there. And you will see a number beside the sun, and that is your gate. So mine is gate 5. This client was gate 23. I don't know if you know yours, Kat. I want
to look it up really quick. What is 5?
So, okay. So gate 5 is all about, it's kind of like sacred rhythm, sacred timing. So it's actually kind of ironic that we're talking about my whole like flow and process of entrepreneurship today, because it's really about finding sacred rhythm, sacred timing in your life, hence where my whole brand came from. It's like with the seasons, flowing with the seasons, not pushing against them. Being in rhythm with nature. So you'll see if you ever check out my website or my branding, it's a lot of natural nature elements. It's talking about, the seasons, and it's a play on like the seasons of entrepreneurship, the seasons of motherhood, all woven together. So you're finding more flow.
And did you know that? I mean, obviously you did know that. Was that intentional when you were coming up with your brand? Yeah. So you did this for yourself, and then you're like, okay, now I'm doing this for other people. We're going to do it in this way. I love it.
And what I can do, just so this is clear for everyone who wants to look up their own, or feel free to like message me on Instagram, voice message me, send me a message, email me, and I can help you find it too. But yeah, it's usually when it's laid out, it's on the right-hand side and it's the top one.
Okay.
And it's the number beside it.
Mine is 64, but I'm excited to go look that up.
Yeah, it's, just from like an identity perspective, like knowing what that gift is for you and feeling into if it resonates, like again, being able to name that and to tell that to people is huge in itself. Yeah.
So, I mean, you talked a little bit about human design for entrepreneurship, but also for your children. What design are your kids, and how have you adjusted showing up as a mother to be able to like hold that space for their energy?
Yeah. Ooh, I love this question. Okay. So, Harvey is a 6'2" sacral generator. Okay. And Ada is a 4'6" emotional manifesting generator. So again, if this is gibberish, like being a generator or a manifesting generator, they have more consistent access to energy than me. And so I notice a lot that being a mom, like sometimes I'm like sitting on the sidelines watching them, helping them to get their energy out.
Yes, that's okay. I love it. Feeling the energy.
So, getting their energy out. One of the things is like, for example, with sleeping, usually generators and manifesting generators, it's not in alignment for them to go to bed before their energy has been run to the ground and they're falling asleep. They're almost like a puppy. When puppies like go and go and go and then they crash.
Yes.
Think of that as like a generator or manifesting generator. Like the activity wise, it's really helpful for them to get their energy out before they put their head down on the pillow, and then they'll sleep better. Whereas for me as a projector, it's actually more in alignment to, wind down and take space, an hour or two before bedtime off my phone to just read and relax. And that will help me to sleep. That's one of the ways, in terms of how we communicate with each other. So Harvey, again, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the map with this, but Harvey is a sacral generator. And when you are a sacral authority, you often respond to yes or no questions really well, because then he can tap into his intuition. So I often ask him a lot of not a lot of open-ended questions. It's a lot of like, Harvey, do you want pizza tonight? Yes or no? Do you want to go to baseball tonight? Yes or no? Right. And so that helps him to tap in to his own body. I'm trying to think of some other ways.
Yeah. And you mentioned that your daughter is an emotional, which that's my whole family. We're all emotional except for my youngest son, who's a reflector. So pretty much he's also emotional because he just picks up what we're doing half the time too. But Yeah. And it's so different for both of your children, where it's like one will be yes or no. And then one, it's like, let's see how you feel over the next couple of days or over the course of the day. Let me know. I'll check back in with you.
Literally, I know that I need to give Ada space and time. Like literally just this morning, she was sleeping and I had to wake her up and she needed time. I was like, what do you want for breakfast? Do you want this? Yes or no? And she just needed space and time. Her emotions, she often wakes up like in these emotions, and she just needed space and time to come to her decision. Yeah. And her being a manifesting generator, what I'm noticing about her is where Harvey seems to know, like, I'm interested in this thing, and he's very clear on that. Ada's like dabbling in a bunch of different things, and she's still young. And so, I mean, more clarity will come. And I love that she's trying different things, but she's very much like, I could ask her one day, like, are you interested in trying hockey? Yes. The next day she's interested. She doesn't want to try hockey. She's just like, she's kind of dabbling here and there and everywhere. I noticed that about her interests and her activities.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so again, it's
that's
just like
my son too.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, he loves all sports and he loves music and he loves to read and draw and like all of these things. And it's so interesting because I'm not, I do like a lot of different things, but I'm like, this is too much. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I also do not have the steady energy, right?
Yes.
As a manifester.
Yes.
So for me, I'm like, how do you have the energy to do all these things? I'm just like, oh my gosh. But then sometimes I have these bursts of energy where I'm like, let's go do this and let's do this. And then I'm like, oh my God, why did we do this?
Yeah.
Why did we sign up for all these things?
Yeah. But the coolest thing, I think, from like through the lens of human design and motherhood is like, it has given me like the perspective that like permission for them to be who they are. And that is like the biggest thing that I want for my children in this lifetime is like, I want them to feel comfortable fully expressing who they are. If that's similar to me, if that's different than me, if they have wildly different interests, like I just want them to be who they are authentically. And I think human design has given me that permission to see them in this different light.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because if we as parents can give them that permission, it's that one more step where they can give themselves that permission, right? It's not always easy, right? It's we've had to come to give ourselves that permission and bless our parents, but over the years, finally it's like, okay, 30s, 40s, we're finally like, I'm giving myself the permission to be who I am and do what I'm meant to do. But what if we had that way back then where there was less noise around it? There's always going to be noise and there's always going to be the stories and people that come into your life that are like, what are you doing? Why are you saying that? That's weird or whatever. But for our parents to be able to give us that opportunity really does set a wonderful foundation. So again, I love that human design gets to be that tool for people. It's so great. I love it. Okay, one more thing I want to touch on. I feel like we could talk forever and ever and ever. The future. I'm so like, and this ties in with human design because human design is predicting a lot of shifts energetically and changes coming. Next year is supposed to be a huge transition year. Astrology is saying like our whole world is shifting, and we can feel it already. And I think as an entrepreneur who, I know projectors have this way of seeing and feeling into like the big picture of things. And for myself as a manifester, I feel the collective like hugely. So when things are shifting on a collective level, I'm like, holy crap, like let's get ready. Or like, I need to share this. I need to talk about it. I need to tell everybody what's coming.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like not even in a way that I can fully understand or put words to. I can just feel it. And so you bringing in these concepts and these connections into branding and website design and allowing a space for people to fully express who they are in their work. I think it's such, how do I say this? It's like, it's so against, there's kind of two lines that I just keep seeing, two pathways to the future. And one of them is very regimented, very, AI based, very computerized and closed, disconnected from the soul. And then there's this other path that is kind of refusing to do things in that way and to go back to the more human, soulful, spiritual self. And so I think that what you're doing is just really building in this soulful way and an opportunity for people to do things differently than what is sort of being presented as, well, this is the only way and this is how it's going to be, and you better buckle up because you don't have another choice. But I think people are going to be craving more and more and more of what you're providing, and more depth and purpose behind what they're doing, because you can feel it online. You can feel when somebody has just popped something in. And don't get me wrong, I love AI. As a non-sacral being, I'm like, please help me in any way possible to get things done fast. I love it. But keeping the soul behind it and keeping that human piece is so, one of my values. And it won't be for everybody, and you'll be able to distinguish the difference. So when somebody pulls up your piece of work that you did and compare it to something that was created through AI or, in a different format, let's just say, you can feel it. You can feel the resonance. And so choose your adventure.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Like I know we've had conversations about this before, but you're right. Things are shifting, and things are shifting fast. And like you, there's like, I feel those two lines too, of like this world where, people are relying on AI and technology more. And I hear what you're saying. I feel like as much as AI can help with efficiency and, there are pieces of it that I enjoy, it can also take the humanity out of it. And like, I think that's where my values really live, is like bringing the human back into it. That connection for me is so important. And especially, as AI can do the work that I'm doing, right? But it also can make things feel more generic. And I actually want to go the opposite way, where I want to be, the person that helps to be like the differentiator, rather than things feeling more generic or like can be produced over and over, right? It's true. You can tell when someone is using AI, like there's just a different feel to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I haven't used it like I do. I use it to support my business too in these different ways. But I really want to bring the soul and that depth and that connection and the humanity back into the work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's a piece there too that, the people who are drawn to the depth, like it also helps you to weed out the clients that are not aligned, and actually be like, okay, so these are the people who want this are going to work with me. And that's always a nice piece too, because I think sometimes we get worried about, okay, well, if there's all of this, efficient work out there, who's going to pay money for this service if they can just do it themselves or get AI to do it or do it in an easier way? Then how am I supposed to make a living off of this? But there will always be people that want that. And I think we're seeing it more and more too. So
what I can say with my own business, again, my branding and my website was done intentionally on purpose. It's very much a reflection of my conscious sun gate and kind of my soul's work, which will continue to evolve, right? But I found that I am calling in those aligned clients.
Yeah.
Like I'm working with the most amazing, incredible women who feel so aligned. And I think that's because of that connection that they feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So don't worry where your people are going to come from. The more true you are to yourself, the more you'll call in the right people too.
Yes.
I love it. So good.
Yes.
All right, Miss. Let's wrap it up there because we're just hitting the hour mark. All right. So remind listeners, I feel like you've mentioned your handle on Instagram already, but where can people find you? What is your website? All of that kind of stuff. I'll put it in the show notes, but
awesome.
share.
Yeah. So you can find, like, my hub for everything is my website. It's withtheseasons.com. And you can find me on Instagram too. That's kind of the other place where I show up. I love sending voice messages and actually getting to know people over there. But if you feel called to, like, explore things or do this work at all, one thing that I offer that people really like is I offer these branding and website audits. So if you're feeling like, oh man, my branding, my website is not up to snuff, what I do is we hop on a call together. It's free. And we pull up your wherever you're marketing yourself and your website in real time. And we just find, simple shifts that you can implement immediately to create more resonance, to call in those full body yes clients. So that's a really nice way to, start to be a part of my world. I offer human design readings and those branding vision sessions, which I was talking about. If you feel called to that work at all, if you mention the Tuning In podcast when you reach out, then I'm happy to give you 15% off as like a little incentive. Yeah. Because I would love to connect with you.
I love that. I love the audits. I think it's such a great place to start because we were like, I don't even, like, a whole website overhaul right now is so overwhelming, but like, let's just look at a few things that we can tweak. And then you're like, oh, okay. And you can just, see the difference that actually makes. And it's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. I love chatting all these things with you forever and always. And maybe we'll have another one where we dive into more like human design stuff too, because it's so fascinating. And I know people are probably like, well, what am I? And what is this? And like,
totally.
Tell me more. You're just going to have to go book a session with Carolyn, actually. But
I'm so grateful to be here. Again, I feel like we could probably keep chatting for another 2 hours, but we'll save it for another time. And I'm just so, so grateful to be here.
Oh, well, thanks so much. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really does help us reach more souls who are ready to live their most aligned life just like you. Until next time, keep tuning into your inner wisdom. Embrace all of the beautiful magic of who you are. Bye.